If you haven't been keeping up with the election, it's okay. We still have time. October 21st is still a few weeks away. Let me catch you up. The Canada Poll Tracker estimates the Liberal and Conservative parties to be neck and neck with 33 to 34% of the support each. This includes a 2 to 3% margin of error. But let's go back a few years. After winning the 2015 election, Justin Trudeau was pretty much at his prime. There were lots of selfies, talk of truth and transparency, the economy, and climate change. The media called this Liberal frenzy the red wave. For the next 2 years, the Liberals were polling about 20% ahead of the Conservatives, but now Justin Trudeau's government is at risk of losing the re-election. So why is this election so close? When discussing Trudeau's term, supporters and critics alike debate whether or not key campaign promises were actually fulfilled. Many have been divided on his success when it came to improving relationships with Indigenous communities, balancing jobs with the environment, and marijuana legalization. We could debate those all day, but let's start with some of the key missteps that are costing Trudeau and his government the most votes. There was a controversial Bahamian vacation with the Aga Khan and the embarrassing trip to India, but perhaps the most notable downturn for Trudeau was the SNC Lavalin scandal. And if you have no idea what that is, I got you. SNC Lavalin is a Montreal-based engineering firm that in 2015 was charged by the RCMP with fraud and corruption. The charges were in connection to $47.7 million in bribes allegedly sent to Libyan officials in Muammar Gaddafi's government. That was between 2001 to 2011. Along with that, media outlet La Presse alleged that when Gaddafi's son visited Canada in 2008, SNC paid for all kinds of recreational activity ranging from $10,000 for a sex worker to box seats for the Spice Girls. The stage looked set for Jody Wilson-Raybould, Canada's former Attorney General, to take the company to trial for fraud and corruption. However, in February 2019, she spoke out and accused Trudeau and his staff of pressuring her to basically issue SNC a get-out-of-jail-free card. Trudeau and his staff reportedly said Canadian jobs were at stake, but ultimately, so were votes for their party. This led Ethics Commissioner Mario Dion to launch an investigation. In August, he announced that the committee found Trudeau had violated a conflict of interest law and had used various means to exert influence over Wilson-Raybould. The controversy was only compounded by her status as Canada's first Indigenous Minister of Justice. In the end, Trudeau said of the affair,
"We recognize that things should have been done differently."
To make matters worse, a 2001 yearbook photo resurfaced in Time magazine. It pictured the Prime Minister in brownface wearing a turban and a robe. This was quickly followed by 2 pictures of Trudeau in blackface on separate occasions. Trudeau apologized, saying, "It was something that I didn't think was racist at the time, but now I recognize it was something racist to do, and I am deeply sorry." Okay, let's look at other political forces at play in this close race. Critics point out that Scheer and his party don't have a platform for Indigenous rights and actually opposed a bill which would have made the UN Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People a standard in Canadian law. Most recently, critics point out that he was the only major party leader to not attend one of the many climate strikes across the country. The Liberals have tried to steer attention towards Andrew Scheer's homophobic and anti-abortion sentiments in the past, with particular focus on his voting record. Despite calls to, Scheer hasn't apologized, but he has said that as Prime Minister, he wouldn't reopen debate on same-sex marriage or abortion rights. Even so, Scheer hasn't faced too much heat from potential voters. The polls have been fairly consistent for the Conservatives, polling at about the mid-30s since January, and up from 2016 when they were polling at about 28 to 30%. In June 2019, an Abacus data poll found that in places like Ontario, the rise of the NDP and Green Party had weakened Conservative support. This was contrasted by a tight race in BC, where the Greens appeared to be eating into NDP support. In Atlantic Canada, the Conservatives edged out the Liberals as Green Party support grew. Although Jagmeet Singh may have taken a surprise landslide in the NDP leadership battle, critics have said that he's in over his head, and the Greens' surge under Elizabeth May is doing them no favors either. The NDP and Green Party have essentially minimized each other's base. Election Day, October 21st, is right around the corner. The past 4 years have seen ups and downs for Trudeau and his government, From miles ahead of the Conservatives Party to scrambling just to keep up with them, it's now come down to this: an unpredictable race in which our votes are critical. And now you know why. To keep up with this election, stay posted to Postable. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit like, comment, and subscribe.